You're tuned in to the English Up Podcast.
Brought to you by the Speak English with Us.
300 articles, 50 videos, 20 podcasts, all saved, all untouched. Sound familiar?
Oh, that's not a collection. That's a graveyard.
This is English Up Podcast, and today we're talking about something that's quietly draining your focus every single day, your saved content pile.
This is a B1 level episode, perfect for intermediate learners. Beginners, you're welcome too. We keep it real and we keep it fast.
Here's the thing, you didn't save all that content because you're lazy. You saved it because you're curious. You wanted to grow. But somewhere between saving and actually reading, life happened.
And now every time you open your phone, that folder is just sitting there, staring at you, judging you.
The folder has opinions now, and they're not kind.
Here's what we discovered. The problem isn't that you save too much. The problem is that all that unread content is actually costing you mental energy. Every single day.
And there's a name for that, a real psychological term. We'll get into it in a few minutes, and once you hear it, you won't be able to unsee it.
Quick question before we dive in, and answer this honestly in your head right now. How many unread saved items do you have? Under 50? Under 100? Or are we in the hundreds?
Drop the number. Seriously. Just say it out loud wherever you are. No judgment here.
Because by the end of this episode, we're giving you 2 zero-pressure steps to cut through the clutter and actually start using what you save.
And stay until the end for our word tour. 5 high-value expressions you'll want to use immediately. Words like bandwidth, actionable, and more.
These aren't textbook words. These are the words people actually use when they talk about focus, productivity, and getting things done.
We're also guessing you're listening to this while doing something else. Commuting, washing dishes, pretending to work.
No shame. That's exactly what this show is built for. And later, we'll give you one tiny mindset shift that changes how you look at your phone forever. But first, let's talk about why this pile even exists. Let's talk numbers. A study from Rescue Time found that the average person spends over 3 hours a day on their phone, and a huge chunk of that, saving content they'll never open again.
3 hours. That's basically a part-time job. Except the job is just collecting things.
Exactly. And here's the stat that really got me. 80% of saved articles are never reopened after the first 48 hours. Never. Not once.
Okay, I felt that personally. I have a folder called Read This Weekend that I created in 2022. It has 94 items. I've read maybe 4.
4 out of 94. That's a 4% success rate, Emma.
Don't do the math out loud, Alex. It's painful.
But here's what's interesting. It's not really about the reading. It's about what happens in your brain when you don't read it. Every single unread item sits in the back of your mind like an open tab.
And we all know what happens when you have too many tabs open. Everything slows down. Your brain starts to feel overwhelmed, like you can't focus on anything because there's too much waiting.
That's the real cost. It's not the storage space on your phone, it's the mental bandwidth. Every piece of unread content quietly takes up space in your head. Space you could be using for actual thinking, actual decisions, actual work.
And the cruel irony? The more you save, the less you actually learn. Because your brain is so busy managing the pile that it can't absorb anything new.
Think about it this way. Imagine your desk covered in papers. Every paper is something you meant to deal with. Now try to focus on writing one important email. Can you do it?
Not a chance. I'd spend 20 minutes moving papers around and then go make coffee.
right? That's exactly what digital clutter does to your brain. It's not invisible just because it's on your phone. Your mind still registers it, still feels the weight of it.
And the worst part is, most of what we save isn't even actionable. It's interesting, sure. But interesting doesn't move you forward. Useful does. Actionable does.
So ask yourself, when you saved that article last Tuesday, did you have a specific reason, a real plan to use it? Or did you just think, this seems important, I'll deal with it later?
Later. Always later. Later is basically a trash can with better branding.
That's actually a perfect way to put it. And the problem with later is that it never comes with a deadline, so the pile just grows and grows and grows.
Until one day you open your saved folder and feel so overwhelmed that you just close the app and avoid it entirely, which means you've gone from saving to learn to saving to feel guilty.
And guilt doesn't teach you anything. It just takes up more bandwidth.
So the question isn't, how do I read all of this? The question is, how do I let go of the stuff that was never going to help me anyway?
And by the way, there's a phrase for what happens in your brain when you can't let go of unfinished tasks. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect. We'll break it down properly in a bit, but keep that name in your head.
Zeigarnik. Say it once. It sounds like a spell, and honestly, it kind of is.
Okay, so here's the fix. 2 steps. Simple, fast, no guilt required. Step 1. The 7-day rule. If you saved something more than 7 days ago and haven't opened it, delete it. Right now. No second guessing.
Wait, just delete it without reading it first?
Without reading it first. If it was truly important, you would have opened it already. The fact that you didn't, that's your brain telling you it wasn't actually a priority.
But what if I delete something I actually needed? What if that article had the exact information I was looking for?
Here's the thing. If you needed it, you'd have searched for it. Information you genuinely need, you go find. Information you might need someday is just clutter wearing a disguise.
Okay, I see the logic. But it still feels uncomfortable, like throwing away food that's technically still edible.
That's exactly the Zeigarnik Effect at work. Your brain hates leaving things unfinished. It creates this psychological tension, this feeling that you owe something to every piece of content you saved. But here's the truth. You don't owe anything to an article. The article doesn't have feelings.
The article doesn't have feelings. I need that on a poster.
The Zeigarnik Effect was discovered by Soviet psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik in the 1920s. She noticed that waiters could remember every detail of an unpaid order, but the moment the bill was settled, they forgot it completely. Unfinished tasks stay active in your memory. Finished, or deliberately closed. Tasks get released.
So deleting something is actually closing the loop. You're telling your brain, this is done. I've made a decision. Move on.
Exactly. You're not losing information. You're freeing up bandwidth. And that bandwidth is worth more than any article you saved and never read.
Okay, but hold on. I want to push back on this a little. Because the 7-day rule sounds clean in theory. But what about things that are genuinely long-term useful? Like, I saved a guide on negotiating salary. I don't need it right now, but I will need it in 3 months when my review comes up.
Good push. That's exactly why step 2 exists. You don't delete everything. You create one single inbox. One place. Maximum 5 items. Call it this week's list or whatever works for you. That salary guide, it goes in. But only when your review is actually coming up, not 3 months in advance.
But what if I forget about it? What if I don't remember to move it in when the time comes?
Then Set a calendar reminder for 2 weeks before your review that says Move Salary Guide to Reading List. Done. You've made it actionable. You've given it a real deadline instead of a vague someday.
Okay, that's actually really practical. But I still think there's a flaw here. What about people who learn by collecting? Some people genuinely use their saved folders as a reference library. Researchers, writers, people who connect ideas across different topics.
I hear that. But there's a difference between a curated reference system and a panic save habit. A reference library has structure. You know what's in it. You can find things. A panic save folder is just anxiety with a bookmark button.
Anxiety with a bookmark button. Okay, that's fair. But what about the guilt factor? Because I think a lot of people, myself included, feel genuinely bad about deleting things. Like we're giving up on a version of ourselves that was going to read all of this and become brilliant.
That's real. And that's actually the most important mindset shift in this whole episode. You're not deleting the content, you're letting go of the pressure. You're saying, I choose to focus on what's actually useful to me right now, instead of carrying the weight of everything I thought I should know.
So it's less about the information and more about the relationship you have with information.
Exactly. And here's a number that might help reframe it. The average person encounters over 74 gigabytes of information every single day. 74. There is no version of you that processes all of it. Choosing what to let go of isn't failure, it's strategy.
Okay, but one more pushback. What if the 7-day rule is too aggressive for some people? 7 days feels really short. Some weeks are just chaotic. You save something on Monday, the week explodes, and suddenly it's been 8 days and now you're supposed to delete it?
Then make it 10 days. The number isn't sacred, the principle is. The point is to have a hard cutoff, a moment where you make a real decision instead of letting things pile up indefinitely. Without a deadline, later becomes never. Every time.
So the rule is really, give everything a deadline. If it doesn't have one, it doesn't have a place in your life right now.
And the single inbox rule reinforces that. 5 items max. When something new comes in, something old has to go out. It forces you to make real choices about what's actually worth your attention, instead of just hitting save and moving on.
It's like a filter. Instead of saving everything and hoping you'll sort it out later, you're making the decision up front. Is this actionable this week? Yes or no?
Yes or no. That's the whole system. And if the answer is no, let go of it. Your future self will thank you for the breathing room.
And honestly, the moment you start clearing the clutter, something shifts. Your phone feels lighter. Your brain feels lighter. You open your saved folder and instead of dread, you feel ready.
Ready to actually use what you saved, which was the whole point from the beginning.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. The psychology, the system, the mindset shift. But now it's time for the part that actually makes all of this stick.
Word tour. 5 expressions we use throughout this episode, and trust me, these are words you'll want in your vocabulary immediately.
These aren't just vocabulary, words. They're the exact language you need to talk about focus, mental load, and cutting through the noise.
Let's go.
So let's go back to something Alex said early on, that your saved folder is full of clutter. That word is doing a lot of work, and it's worth unpacking.
Right. Clutter isn't just physical mess. It's anything that takes up space without being useful. Old magazines on your coffee table, that's clutter. 47 saved articles you'll never read, also clutter. Same energy, different device.
Same energy, different device. I love that. And the thing about clutter is it's sneaky. It doesn't feel like a problem until suddenly it's everywhere and you can't find anything useful underneath it.
Exactly. And that's when the second word kicks in, overwhelmed, because clutter doesn't just sit there quietly. It creates this feeling of too much, too many things, too many decisions. You don't know where to start, so you don't start at all.
And overwhelmed is such a specific feeling, right? It's not just stress. It's that paralysis where you open your phone, see the pile, and immediately close it again. Your brain just shuts the door.
And the key thing about overwhelm is that it's not about the actual amount of work, it's about the perceived amount. You can feel overwhelmed by 5 things if they all feel urgent and unfinished, which is exactly why the Zeigarnik Effect hits so hard.
Which brings us to bandwidth. This is one of my favorite words in this whole episode because it reframes everything. We usually think of bandwidth as an internet thing, how fast your connection is. But mental bandwidth, that's how much cognitive space you actually have available right now.
And it's limited. That's the part people forget. You wake up with a certain amount of mental bandwidth every day. Every unread notification, every saved article, every unfinished task, it all draws from that same pool. By the time you sit down to do something important, you've already spent half your bandwidth just managing the pile.
And you don't even realize it's happening. You just feel foggy, distracted. Like you can't quite get into focus. And you think something's wrong with you. But actually, your bandwidth is just maxed out.
So the solution is to protect it, which is where let go of comes in. And this one's a phrasal verb, so it's worth saying clearly, let go of. 3 words. You let go of something when you stop holding on to it, physically or mentally.
And mentally is the harder one. Because letting go of a physical object, easy. You put it in the bin. But letting go of an article you saved, that feels like giving up on a goal. Like you're admitting you're never going to become the person who reads all of this.
But here's the reframe. Letting go of it is actually the more mature decision. You're saying, I choose what gets my attention. I'm not going to let a saved folder make that choice for me.
And that decision-making is exactly what the last word is about, actionable. Something is actionable when you can actually do something with it right now. Not someday. Not eventually. This week.
And this is the filter that changes everything. Before you save anything, ask one question. Is this actionable for me right now? If the answer is yes, save it, use it, done. If the answer is no, don't save it, because saving it just turns it into future clutter.
Future clutter, which will overwhelm future you, who will then have no bandwidth left and won't be able to let go of anything. It's a whole cycle.
It really is. And now you've got the exact vocabulary to describe every part of that cycle and break it.
Clutter, overwhelmed, bandwidth, let go of, actionable. 5 words, 1 system. And honestly, just knowing these words makes the problem feel more manageable. Because you can name it now.
And when you can name it, you can fix it.
So here's where we land. You're not saving too much because you're greedy for knowledge. You're saving too much because you care. But caring without a system just creates clutter. And clutter quietly steals your bandwidth every single day.
2 steps. That's all it takes. The 7-day rule. If you haven't opened it in a week, delete it without guilt. And the single inbox. 5 items max, this week only, everything else goes.
And the mindset shift underneath both of those steps is this. Information only has value when it's actionable. A saved article you never read isn't knowledge. It's just digital weight you're carrying around.
Here's a challenge for right now. Not tomorrow, not this weekend. Right now, open your saved folder. Find the oldest item in there. Check the date. If it's been more than 7 days, let go of it. Just one. Start there.
And if that feels hard, that resistance you feel, that's the Zeigarnik Effect doing its thing. Your brain thinks deleting it means failing, but it doesn't. It means choosing. Choosing your focus over your fear of missing out.
Because here's the truth. The people who actually learn and grow aren't the ones who save the most. They're the ones who use what they save. Quality over quantity. Every time.
And honestly, once you clear even a little of the clutter, something shifts. You open your phone and instead of that low-level dread, you feel in control. It's a small thing, but it changes everything.
Before you go, we want to hear from you. How many unread saved items do you have right now? Drop the number in the comments. No judgment, just honesty.
We read every single comment. And if this episode helped you see your saved folder differently, share it with one person who needs to hear this today.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Bye for now.